Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. As you can see, we're on two brothers again, so that absolutely means a battleship's going to be going down the middle, but don't worry, it's not going to be today's hero. Somebody else is going to make that mistake. Speaking of today's hero, I know this is going to trigger somebody, and you know what, justifiably so. His name is Fortnite Gay Change My Mind. I suspect that if anybody does have a problem with his name, it's not going to be the Fortnite fans. It's probably more to do with the way he's describing the game Fortnite. Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't had an enforced name change and he's still actually using this name. Although after appearing in today's video, that might change. Anyway, it is what it is. The ship that he's sailing today, the Azure Lane Littorio. This is a very good ship, Tier 8 premium Italian battleship. I think it was first available in the third wave of one of the Azure Lane collaborations with World of Warships. It cost something like 14,000 gold doubloons. It was possibly also on sale in the fourth wave, but it hasn't been available since. And stat-wise, it's basically a clone of the other Italian Tier 9 premium battleship, the Roma. It looks different, obviously, but the stats are the same. This ship is armed with 9 15-inch guns in 3 triple turrets. It has a top speed of 30 knots, which is pretty good. And the armour isn't that bad either, although it does have a raised citadel, so you're not going to want to be giving broadside to enemy battleships, if at all possible. You can see he's obviously travelling far in excess of 30 knots here because he's got the swift and silent skill, which boosts your engine speed. It's effectively like having an engine boost, as long as you're not spotted. The 15-inch armour-piercing shells fired by this thing have absurdly good penetration, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, because while it means that you are extremely likely to get citadels against battleship broadsides, if you're firing the guns against slightly less well-armoured targets, you're probably going to get a lot of over-penetrations. Unlike the tech tree Italian battleships, the Littorio does not get semi-armour-piercing ammunition for its main battery guns. As well as its excellent armour-piercing, the other ammunition choice, which he has loaded now for shooting at the enemy destroyer that was just spotted, is regular high-explosive. One hit. An incapacitation though, so he's knocked out some piece of equipment. Surprisingly, if you look at the World of Warships wiki entry for this ship, one of the downsides of the ship is the poor main gun battery range. But with the upgraded fire control system, I mean, these are 18-kilometre range guns. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with having an 18-kilometre range on your main gun batteries. One of the plus points on this ship is the stealth, which isn't fantastic, but it's certainly not bad. And is the reason why he didn't fire that second high explosive salvo against the enemy destroyer, the Erland over there. Not just because it was about to go undetected, and he probably would have missed, but he himself was undetected at that moment that he switched to the armour piercing and selected the Gorizia over here as his target. Now he did get spotted by aircraft, and it's possible that the Gorizia, oh no, there goes the high speed smoke. You know what? You needed to turn, mate. Going undetected doesn't help when there are shots in the air before you pop the high-speed smoke. Double citadel on the Gorizia, devastating strike, first blood, 33,000 damage done already. There's his and the entire battle's first kill. Now he's got a Leon to shoot at. You know, I like the Leon. It's got a lot of guns. They're not particularly good. Oof, yeah, no citadels, but that hurt. Yeah, the Leon's guns aren't great, but it's got a lot of them. It's definitely a case of never mind the quality, feel the width. Oh, what's going on here? The team have just lost the Miyoko and the Ukatsuki. Shots incoming from the Monarch. Yep. Monarch firing high explosive, no big surprise there. Substantial chunk of damage and a fire. Oh, he's dodged the torpedoes, almost certainly from the Erland. Return fire with the armour piercing. Again, a healthy chunk of armour-piercing damage, surprisingly no citadels. I don't think many people would describe the Monarch as a particularly good Tier 8 battleship. I mean, I kind of like it, but I'm weird like that. That doesn't mean it's actually any good. And he is given an uncomfortable amount of broadside there, and he's just begging for a paddling, which I'm sure Fortnite here is only going to be too happy to administer. Shots out again. Can he get some citadels? It's unusual to see a monarch. No, still no citadels. 3 overpens. Still 10,000 damage. I mean, it's not bad. It's just, well, I mean, I don't want to call the Littorio's guns bad. They're not bad, but they are inconsistent. I mean, he gets citadels and first blood against a cruiser, and then overpens against a battleship. He's only got the rear turret available to fire here. It's probably not going to be enough to kill him. The Leon is not taking the hint though. Well, he scored a hit and it was some damage. But the Monarch is getting away with it for now. As the Bismarck steams in there, and it looks like he's going to catch a couple of torpedoes. Yeah, the Monarch has taken the hint and pulling out. The Leon, not so much. He's got the front turrets firing now. As you can see, the Monarch is healing back a lot of health. Yeah, 2,400 damage. Rear turrets out. More torpedoes dodged. If this doesn't, it's not going to kill the Monarch, not with 3 shots. So the Monarch's gotten away. Unfortunately, the team have just lost their Akazuki, but the New Orleans and the Yukon have just pulled back a couple of kills, and now the Leon, who, well, yeah, when the Tier 8 battleships are running away, the Tier 7 battleships would be wise to do the same, and not broadside themselves against an island. Wow, he survived. That's the thing with these guns. They can absolutely punish targets. And he's got the Leon, but it took a second salvo from the rear turret in order to do it. But they're just, they can be worryingly inconsistent. And not just with the penetrations and the over-penetrations. Okay, the Erlen's been taken out by the Bismarck secondaries, but not before the Erlen got some torpedoes away. And it's not just the Erlen's torpedoes that the Bismarck needs to worry about. Look at those. There's another enemy destroyer lurking around there as the Bismarck pursues the Monarch, who's basically recovered 50% of his health. Yeah. But yes, I mean, again, I don't want to describe the guns on the Littorio as bad, because they're not. But the inconsistency, and not just with the overpens and the penetrations, but the accuracy can at times be shockingly bad. Again, it's just inconsistent. I mean, Fortnite's been pretty good with the accuracy and shot grouping of shells so far, which is not the normal situation when you're in one of these things. It looks like the Bismarck's about to go down, which is unfortunate. He's got the high explosive loaded. And again, look at that shot grouping and consistency against the Shiratsu. That was really, really good. And I think that, well, he probably wouldn't have killed him because it was only 3 shots from the rear turret. But the Bismarck's gone down, taken out by the Shikaku's torpedoes. Fortunately for the Shiratsu, he stopped dead when he ran into the wreck of the Erland. Otherwise, that second salvo from the rear turret would have probably hit him as well. Of course, with the Bismarck down, that means the enemy carrier is now going for Fortnite here. And yep, sure enough, there's an enemy battleship charging up the middle here on Two Brothers. It's also an Italian battleship, the Vittorio Veneto. And he's going to be a problem. At the moment, Fortnite is angled quite well against that carrier, who has just popped his high-speed smoke. But of course, the second he fires his guns, he's not going to stay undetected. You can see his secondaries going. Okay, that is what Fortnite was waiting for. He's going to take one of those Shiratsu torpedoes, but now he can focus on the enemy battleship, because the Shiratsu is not going to take him on with his guns. So he's got a minute and a half or so. Oh, there we go. That's what we're talking about. This is why you don't go down the middle on Two Brothers unless you flambass. Because as you come out of that channel, you're giving broadside to everybody. Friendly carriers going in there. Nice flank attack with the skip bombs. Which didn't do an awful lot of damage. Okay, the Vittorio Veneto is turning this way. So Fortnite's going to want to angle against this incoming semi-armor piercing salvo, which still scores a respectable amount of chunk damage. But it's at this point, and there's a Fuso down there to the south, but I think he's possibly out of range at the moment, but he's not going to stay out of range. Now, fortunately for Fortnite, the Vittorio Veneto has spotted the friendly carrier. The red mist has descended, his blinkers are on, and now he can't see anything but the carrier. He's target fixating, like it's going out of fashion, which means, well, broadside please. And that's a paddling. Not enough to kill him, no more citadels. But this is only just a matter of time. It's also only just a matter of time before, one, the Shiratsu reloads its torpedoes, and the Fuso down to the south, and there are the Shiratsu torpedoes, so that's something that Fortnite doesn't have to worry about. But that Fuso down at the south is probably, in fact, yes, did just start shooting. Need to kill this Vittorio Veneto, though, before Fortnite is going to be able to turn his attention to the Fuso and any further... Wow. Scored a hit. It's got 600 health and it was a ricochet. Anyway, one way or another, Vittorio Veneto went down. There are now only 4 remaining enemy ships. And spoiler alert, 3 of them are on this side of the map, with Fortnite here all on his own against them. The Shikaku, the Fuso down to the south, and of course the Shiratsu. Now this should hopefully mean that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other ships left alive on his team should between them be able to take care of that solitary monarch down at the southern end of the channel, and they've got him, the sturdy torpedoed him. Although not before the monarch was able to take the other friendly Littorio down with him. There was the Shiratsu again, torpedoes dodged. The Shikaku dropped its first set of torpedoes too soon. They failed to arm, did 0 damage, but he is going to eat both of these, and that was a surprising amount of damage from airdrop torpedoes. What this now means, of course, is that Fortnite is all on his own against all 3 remaining enemy ships. Wow, the Monarch actually managed to get a second It's a Flesh Wound award by burning down the Sturdy as well as the other friendly Littorio. Holy crap. It was 4 friendlies against that one Monarch, and the Monarch managed to take 2 friendlies with him after he'd been sunk. Well played to him. Okay, the Shiratsu is hiding behind the island, and the Fuso over here is actually playing this quite well. He's refusing to give a broadside, and so, with nothing really to shoot at other than the superstructure, Fortnite switched to the high explosive. And the Fuso again, he's getting into cover behind the island there without giving much of anything to shoot at. I think it's possible that Fortnite had switched to the high explosive because he was worried about the Shiratsu trying his luck with another torpedo attack. But he switched back to the armor piercing here, and wouldn't you know it, that's when the Shiratsu comes out. Well, high explosive would be better, but the armor piercing gets it done. Now, did the Shiratsu get his torpedoes away? There's not an awful lot you can do about the Shikaku dive bombers, and he did get his torpedoes away. Okay. I think he's going to get away with only eating 1 of these. Shikaku dive bombers missed, and he takes 1 Shiratsu torpedo, which causes a flood, but he instantly uses the damage control. Meanwhile, the Fuso, who's been playing pretty well up until now, is not going down without a fight, and he has just knocked out the friendly New Orleans. The thing is, and I really don't have any good explanation for this, but he'd been angling very, very well right up until the point where he suddenly isn't. And, again, no citadels. Again, as many overpens as pens. But there's no way the Fuso is going to be able to turn an angle enough to avoid being obliterated the second Fortnite reloads these guns. So instead he just thinks, well, screw it, let's just get all the guns firing. But 14-inch armor piercing against an angled tier 8 battleship? I'm afraid not. And then, of course, Fortnite reloads. Boom, headshot. There goes the Fuso. That just leaves the carrier. Now, looking over at the enemy cap circle, it looks like the Yukon. I mean, somebody's flipping the cap, and I think it's the Yukon. And yes, there is the carrier. I did say the last 3 enemy ships were all on this side of the map. It looks like the Queen Elizabeth is deliberately staying outside of the cap circle in order to try to farm some more kills and damage. Okay, I mean, it's not like that has never come back to bite somebody on the arse, and the enemy carrier doesn't even appear to be moving. No, oh, look at that. 4 over penetrations and 1 penetration. Broadside carrier, nope. And then the carrier does start moving, but rather than backing up into cover behind the island, he's actually moving out into open water. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but then based on the evidence of what happens when these 15-inch armor piercing shells... Look at that. The only thing that can actually damage a carrier is another carrier, as with the dive bombs. Again, 4 over pens, 1 pen, and this time a shatter. Now you might be sitting there thinking, well, why don't you just switch to the high explosive? And yeah, that probably would have ended this an awful lot sooner. The thing is, it's not that you cannot Citadel aircraft carriers with armor-piercing shells. You can. It's just that you are far more likely, especially in this ship, to get nothing but over-penetrations. And this, of course, is why everybody who's not in a British battleship, where, you know, high explosive is just amazing, continues to try their luck, chasing those elusive citadels against aircraft carriers with their armor-piercing shells and scoring nothing but overpen after overpen and doing minimal damage, when they really should take the hint and switch to the high explosive. But of course nobody ever does, because if you switch to the high explosive, well, this will never happen. What usually happens is the game waits. It's almost like it's hard-coded into the game's software. The game waits until the carrier's down to about 2,000 health, and then it gives you the Citadel. The infamous, and we've all seen it happen, the infamous pity Citadel, or Pitadel. Because, hey, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be playing World of Warships. So there's Fortnite in the Azure Lane Littorio, with 2,500 base experience, high caliber, Kraken Unleashed, at least one devastating strike, and the first Blood Award. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.